Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. I am joined by Austin Yorsky and Johnny Maloney, as I am every week. Guys, how are we feeling?
Except for that 1 week where I was replaced by my evil twin.
Oh, I don't remember which one that was, but I guess
That's
it was
the
so
thing.
convincing.
Nobody knew, so everybody is just going to have to go back and listen to every episode of Word Funk again and then try and tell me which one they think.
I think it's the one where you admitted to playing Pokemon. That seems like the most likely culprit.
I did that? I mean, of course I did that.
Yeah. I'm slightly ill this week. I don't know if you can tell from my voice, but
You sound a little bit. You sound a little bit.
yeah, just a little bit. And I imagine sometime in the future, when people are like digging through the archives of this show, on the moons of Jupiter or wherever,
Charting the course of the 21st century,
yeah,
right?
they're reflecting on Earth culture and the things we left behind before we blighted this rock. They'll find this and they'll be like, "Oh, this was patient zero for the big one, for the bigger, blacker death that consumed everyone." And I'm just
That is a very early contender for the title.
I just want to let you all know that I'm sorry, but I have to podcast. I should be in bed and I should be doing some like soup activities, but I gotta be here because I have to talk about, I don't know, pop culture. What are we doing this show?
Austin,
Is this related?
let me ask.
Is this related to your? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about ceiling suspension?
What is that?
That makes no sense out of context.
I know, but I wanted to say it anyways.
I know. That's fair. Austin, is this related to your pleurisy, or is this just a new and fun disease?
As far as I can tell, like everybody in Florida got sick simultaneously. We recorded.
Oh, something's going around.
We recorded episode 1 of the new season of Dice Funk yesterday, and you might also notice that Lauren sounds sick and Skitch sounds sick. We're all Floridians, obviously, but Skitch is in Orlando, which is like 6 hours away. So I think this entire whole wang is sick, guys.
Austin, there are three things in this universe that do not correspond to the laws of physics when it comes to speed, and that's monarchy, taxes, and getting sick. Because they can happen as quickly or as slowly as you don't like.
Epidemiologist Johnny Maloney here with the special report.
All right, so let's chart the symptoms now. On a scale of 1 to 10, how damp are you?
I'm not particularly damp. This isn't interesting. I apologize.
Is that like a 3? I mean, you got to help me out here. I'm doing some hardcore research.
Did you guys have any topics you wanted? I almost said toxics, which is probably Freudian. Do you guys have any topics for this week? Because I watched roughly 15 hours of some stuff on the same exact topic, so I have a lot of that in my brain right now.
Hot damn!
I have a couple things, but I mean, we can start with the thing that you've seen so much of. I mean, if it's so,
was it 15 hours of the same thing?
So last year, 2 things were released in the same genre, which are motion picture series about O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
American Crime Story, which is a reenactment of the O.J. Simpson trial, starring Cuba Gooding Jr. And then
I'm just going to throw a glib comment in here about the latest U.S. election.
Nice. And then the other thing was Made in America, which is a documentary. And they're both very long. The first one, the reenactment is 10 episodes of about an hour each, and the documentary is 3 parts, all like 3 hours long. So I've watched just a profound amount of O.J. Simpson content. And I have feelings. Yeah.
What age were you when O.J. Simpson for the first time?
Yeah. I was 4, I think, when I first heard the name O.J. Simpson. I have a very vague memory of being at a restaurant and there being a TV on and people on the TV talking about it. That's the only real human memory I have of any of those.
So events. You weren't because I remember very distinctly sitting in my high school cafeteria watching a white Ford Bronco just lose its shit.
Well, see, that's
my my memories are like only vaguely of the trial itself, but I remember the verdict because I remember it either happened while I was at school or as I was coming home from school because that was a topic. But I don't remember much else from it except that I watched American Crime Story.
Okay,
Right.
so we can talk about the program itself, but I think the good place to start is like perceptions of the event, because obviously I was very young, and so I didn't really have a clear picture. Like my understanding was that the Bronco chase was kind of funny, like he tried to get away in a car which was slow, and he didn't. But like, actually it was like it went on for hours, and he had a gun. Like it was not funny, apparently.
No, it was.
Yeah.
No,
It was
not funny.
it
Not
was-
funny. Pretty much lays it up. I think that's.
Yeah. I mean, not only was it not funny, but nobody everyone seemed to think it was because like there are so many parodies of that.
But that's I mean,
Like,
I grew up with the parodies more than the actual event, which is like,
Yeah.
what this has shown a light on for me.
Yeah.
So, and also like just the trial itself, which is I guess the more important thing. Like my understanding was like the glove is what decided it. Like they made him put on a glove and it didn't fit, and then Johnny Cochran said, "If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit," and so they acquitted. Apparently, actually not that big of a deal. Like obviously it didn't play well. Like they shouldn't have done that. But the real issue was it turned out one of the cops was basically a Nazi. And so they were just like, he forged evidence. We don't have any proof of that, but like we have him on tape saying Nazi shit.
Was that was Mark
Yeah.
Furman, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Who I
Yeah.
learned from these documentaries went on to work for Fox News.
Yeah.
Which is,
I mean,
that's like a thing I would make up to make fun of a Nazi cop. Be like, why don't you go work for Fox News? But like, yeah, he did that. So life is what it is, I guess.
yeah.
But so you watched it as well? You watched the documentary, Leon?
No. I watched American Crime Story.
Okay, so that's the reenactment. I get them confused.
And I just
That's okay.
saw the thing happen back in the 90s.
And
Yeah.
neither of you guys are football fans, so I don't think that's really an angle
Not
of,
at-
an
No,
angle of
but-
interest for you. But
But I can enthusiastically say, the juice!
yeah,
I saw those Naked Gun movies.
yeah,
Yes.
those are kind of before my time too.
I saw those as
Okay.
well. As well as
Okay.
other movies just tangentially related to them, such as Airplane.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm a big football fan, but I never grew up in an era where he wasn't like under the suspicion of being also a murderer, and then
Yeah.
later an armed robber. So
Yep.
Yeah.
that's just kind of always the OJ I've known. But it was interesting watching these things because he was like such a big deal, not only for being like a famous athlete, but also for like being a model minority. Like white people were really excited about him. Like this is like what most of these things are actually about. Like there's like the first episode of the documentary, which is like 3 hours long. The first part of it is like only on this essentially, which is like the Rodney King beatings just happened, right? And then those cops were not really held accountable for the horrible thing they did. And at the same time, OJ was projecting to kind of white America this like safer image that they were really comfortable with. And then it turned out he was maybe a murderer, and it like LA almost like burned down again. So it's like
Yeah.
the historical context was completely lost on me when this stuff was going on in the 90s. And now looking back on it, it's like, here we are again.
And as a suburban, white teenager who grew up during it, yeah, totally lost on me at the time as well. But since then, I've had some opinions reformed. A couple of modifications to my worldview, and I was like, oh, yeah.
It's quite a thing. Now, do you have any thoughts on the particulars of the programs?
I like I said, I haven't seen the documentary series at all, so I can't speak to that in the slightest. But in terms of the show, it was to me helpful to understand like the beat by beat of it. As like I said, I grew up during it, but it wasn't a thing that, how do I put this? It wasn't on my radar that much. I didn't care about football. I didn't care about crime. I played video games and ran around with my friends. So I didn't have any hot takes on it at the time. I'm not sure I do now. The show was entertaining and educational. I'm not really sure what else I could say about it, though.
I mean, I found it really gripping, except for a couple parts where it gets a little too camp and a little too cute for my liking. When they're like, "Come on, family, we're the Kardashians. Someday, everyone will respect our family name." Wink.
Well,
like some of that stuff was a bit much.
Yeah.
But the majority of it, I thought, was like actually really, really good. And I'm also surprised at how much David Schwimmer can act, which is a thing I often forget.
Yeah.
He was in Band of Brothers.
Yes.
Like
he was
and played a horrendous shit.
yeah,
But he was good at it.
Yeah.
He's been in some things. He was in Apt Pupil, if I'm remembering right.
Stephen King adaptation.
Yes, that one.
A very, very bad and upsetting story, I think. I haven't actually seen the film adaptation, but
The film that I haven't read and conversely I have not read the story, but I have seen the film adaptation. It was pretty good.
Okay.
And he was fine in it.
Also Nazis.
Yeah.
It's just
wow.
Nazis
Jeez, it's
everywhere.
like there's a theme going around or something like that these days. How do you guys feel about JonTron, huh?
Oh no. We got a question about that. I wasn't actually planning on asking it, but I do think it's funny that
We can talk about it later.
But does no one else find it amusing that everyone was taken by surprise when the person who screamed the N-word repeatedly in a Sonic the Hedgehog video turned out to be racist? Like,
no.
I first of all, here's the thing. I mean, if we want to switch to JonTron right now,
we can skip past it. I don't really think there's much to say on the matter, to tell you the truth. I think it's sort of self-explanatory.
Right, he's a big piece of shit, and if you can like honestly like listen to his words as it pertains to race, and you can look at and read his words, and you can say, oh, it's not so bad, then I don't know what to tell you. That it's just like unambiguously shit.
Go figure. Man who passes as white, who has like huge swath of kids that like worship the ground he walks on, can just suddenly get really indignant about other people existing.
Wow. And that's the first thing I wanted to say was that. The second thing I wanted to say is, isn't it weird that we were his colleagues?
I mean, I've spoken with him before.
Yeah, an acquaintance of mine mentioned the other day, like a shared history.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was in Blistered Thumbs,
yes,
exactly when I was. That is very strange. I forgot for a long time because he just doesn't seem like, how do I put this? Anyone with whom I would associate.
And I mean, okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. Like, he was also part of another group called Normal Boots, which also includes
Normal
Austin
Boots
Hargrave.
still exists, and there's Pro Jared's on Normal Boots, the Completionist, Peanut Butter Gamer. There's a number of them.
But like, I've spoken to some of those guys too, and they're all perfectly nice. I don't think like they're a secret Nazi enclave, which unfortunately is a little bit maybe how some outlets were reporting it. I saw Austin getting up on I think it was Gizmodo for implying that they were much closer than they are. Mm-hmm. But I also don't think like JonTron's like secretly got a chest full of Nazi war medals or whatever. He's just like a bad rich person with bad shitty kid opinions, a lot of people.
It's casual racism. Like, I mean, it's actively casual racism. It's like, oh my god, like, I can't believe that I can't say these things. Like, what's his name? Fucking...
PewDiePie is...
No. The other guy who got busted recently, who runs the show.
There's a lot. Colin Moriarty?
Yeah, Colin Moriarty, who was like, and like his go-to statement was, I can't believe I don't have the freedom to say these things without people getting on my case for having said them.
Yeah, he's like, I just believe in personal responsibility. It's like, we'll take personal responsibility for your joke. His Twitter name also, by the way, is No Taxation, which shows you just the kind of person he is already. And I don't know him personally. He might be perfectly nice in the actual like flesh world, but online his presence is repellent.
It is. This is the thing. The thing about it too is that all of these guys are probably perfectly nice people. They are perfectly nice people. But this is like this is the level. My whole generation was brought up under the guise that like, ooh, if you're a sexist or if you're a racist or if you're prejudicial or anything like that, you must be a terrible person. And it was this like weird cartoony demonization of having, like unfounded negative opinions of any like minority, gender group, or somebody who has a feature of some sort that they just couldn't choose, right? So then like almost everybody seemed to think that it was like, the moment you said anything like sexist, it's like you're a monster. So you couldn't be sexist if you weren't a monster.
Yeah, and these people don't see themselves as monsters.
And no, they don't.
Aren't, probably. So
it's, what are you talking about? I don't beat my wife. I'm not a sexist, but women should probably stay in the kitchen.
Yeah. I feel like, I understand what you're saying, but I also feel like I'm not as comfortable saying these guys are all probably perfectly nice. After reading all that, I feel like we've discussed this before, that you can be a good person with bad ideas, and that is absolutely true. But there, at some point, you have too many bad ideas that it fills up too much of your headspace. And I didn't want to follow all of this, but it just kept coming up in my timeline, so I said, well, I might as well. There's just too much.
My hesitancy to just unilaterally condemn a lot of this, obviously most of it is totally condemnable, but I remember a time in my life when I saw people doing like edgy comedy and then getting blowback and being like, look, we should be able to joke about stuff, and like I don't think I was like an evil person at that time. And I just didn't fully understand like what free speech actually meant, or the idea that hey, look, some jokes are just not funny and bad.
I still believe
there are consequences for saying unfunny, shitty things. Sorry.
Yeah, I still do believe that we should be able to joke about stuff. It's just that you have to fucking earn it. It's also about where the joke lands too. You can't just be like, oh my god, genocide, right?
I want to make a distinction between what you were saying and what I'm talking about. The things that JonTron has said, were not all in jest. These weren't like, I want that to be clear to the audience. These weren't just punchlines from jokes. Like, oh, he said a joke that had the N-word in it. That is a thing. But an entirely other thing is everything else he has said in complete sincerity.
Yeah, that was more.
I feel like that's important.
Colin Moriarty was the one who made the quote unquote joke that
he just made a really shitty joke and probably shouldn't have. Whereas I feel like there are levels to this,
or at least just accepted the free market's determination of the value of his joke.
Right.
And apparently that's important to him.
Okay. Look, I
want to make it clearly on too that I'm not necessarily coming down and defending these guys and being like, they're perfectly nice. I'm saying they may be perfectly nice.
No, that's fair. Look, I in the past I have said things with which I am ashamed, basically. And I've had to own that and basically apologize. People didn't ask me for an apology, but I just did anyway. Because
that's that personal responsibility thing that you're always hearing about from the people on the TV.
I just felt shitty about it. But there is a difference between making a bad joke about a thing you wouldn't actually agree with and saying things that are just despicable in complete sincerity.
Yeah, as being a proponent for that social policy.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Making a shitty joke is one thing, but then just being like, how about the whites get their own island? It's kind of like,
oh God.
We would immediately strip mine it and make it uninhabitable is what would happen.
And the music would very quickly become absolutely intolerable.
That's fair. That is absolutely
fair. Like, the national anthem would be like 400 straight dudes in with pooch shell necklaces, all playing acoustic guitars.
Take that. Racism solved. Do you guys want to talk about anything else? Because I can already tell this is going to be.
Yeah, I didn't even think. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to derail that conversation so hard. I just
no, it's all right.
I just very quickly reacted to an offhanded remark about Nazis, and it seemed like there was something right there, just waiting.
There's some comedic space to explore.
I have a topic I wanted to briefly discuss. It's vaguely related to something Johnny just said, where shouldn't all the whites get their own island? It's not about white people though. Look.
Shouldn't black people get their own island?
Oh God, no, that's not what I mean exactly. But well, just bear with me. Wow.
This episode is unpublishable.
I'm doing my best to try and make that so.
You're fine. Look, there is I don't feel like it's controversial to say that there are some people in America who want the law to accurately reflect their own religion. And since this is America, most of that power goes towards Christian religion. Mm-hmm. And I don't, like I said, I don't feel like it's controversial to say that, considering politicians very explicitly say this. So it's not that strange.
I would say there are several states where that's a mainstream belief, and more where it is not.
Yeah,
there's a handful of states where that
pro-theocracy voices.
Yeah, except the thing is, they would probably not call it that, but there is.
Oh no, because theocracy is an awful thing because the Constitution says that. Never mind.
It's fine. No, but I was actually looking into this. I wonder if there is a very specific word for this or movement for this related explicitly with Christianity, and there's a term called dominion theology, and it is exactly what we're talking about. It's the belief that Christians should institute a nation governed by Christians.
Do they spell government with a B?
Oh my. I don't know why that happened, but it did. But no, that is that is not just a political belief, that is a religious belief. And it apparently comes from Genesis, when it said, and God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish and of the sea, etc. I have a couple of things about that. Look, I see a lot of stuff loosely justified by the Bible. It's well, wait a minute, we can't have this because, and then here's this text on the page that says so. I was okay, all right. I mean,
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes the Bible contradicts itself, and sometimes some things are pretty darn clear. So, okay, that's interesting as part of your faith. But here's the thing. I feel like you really have to stretch that particular quote, that particular line, in order for it to, in your mind, also say, create a Christian-dominated America in government.
Wait, hold on. To be clear, sorry to cut you off. You're saying that a line in Genesis justifies the creation of a Christian state that would override existing governments? Is that the argument so far?
That is the argument from dominion theology, yes.
Okay, and how do they reconcile that with the New Testament in Romans 13, which explicitly says not that, in fact, follow the law of the land you're in because God has put you there under their laws?
Dude, look. that is the one they have cherry picked in order to create this particular
so they picked the belief. Old Testament explanation, which with very little supporting evidence and a lot of interpretation to justify something the New Testament explicitly and with no interpretation says.
Yeah, like I said, some things are explicit in the Bible, and some things are vague. And this is pretty vague, but also, like, it says, have dominion over the fish in the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Okay, that's neat, but that's not saying... That does not... How do I put this? It's saying humanity. It's humanity should have dominion over animals. That it's not saying... specifically Christians should have dominion over a country.
Yeah,
because
Christians
Christians
sure
didn't
say
exist
step on the neck of your neighbor.
Right, I
Christians
know
didn't
that.
exist
But
in Genesis. That would be mean.
I know, but none of this I'm just saying that it's a very strange justification because, I mean, you could probably find some other vague line from the Bible to make that sound better, but this one is just, it's like unrelated. So I found that very strange.
Well, you know what it may be, Leon?
Yeah.
It may be that when most people sit down and read the Bible,
Yeah.
they don't really make it past, like, the first chapter.
It's pretty
Maybe
dense.
they're like, I've always wanted to do this, and then they, like, get one chapter in, and then they're like, it's a little wordy.
I've read the Bible cover to cover twice, but I feel like I've read particular books and lines from it so often in my work that I feel like I've read it like in total about 4 times.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a tough read, but it's not that hard. It's just. How do I put? I just find this very strange.
I really hate to speak disparagingly of people, like, by and large, actually, because I prefer to think that maybe they're actually there is more to them than the general cynical observations of pop culture and whatnot. But I believe I speak the truth when I say that a lot of people just have trouble reading, period.
That's actually not a terrible point because, I mean, if you think about literacy historically, it's only in, like, the last century that it was kind of a societal expectation that you would actually be able to read. In fact, a lot of the history of mankind is people who can read stepping on the necks of people who can't read.
Get the book on tape. Just
obviously
get the audio book.
It's not an issue in the first world today, but
I know.
I'm saying that's not as funny as it may have sounded at first. You guys should look into, like, the history of non-clergy people beginning to read the Bible, because for a long time, if you wanted to know what the Bible said, you had to ask somebody. If you were a normie,
I think guys started nailing letters to church doors, and
it got rowdy quickly, and the church did not like it. They're like, "Why can't you just trust us? We're good for it. We'll tell you. It says give us your money. It's fine." And then people read it and they're like, actually, it's just mostly about, like, customs for an agricultural society that we don't live in anymore. What's up with that? And shh, don't think about it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm reading about this dominion theology. As far as I can tell, it's total, like, fringe. Like, there's nothing none of the people associated with this movement I have ever heard of before.
Yeah, but I mean that doesn't mean that people don't lift ideas from it.
Oh yeah, I know.
Because remember, right? I mean, the Nazis hate Richard Spencer, sort of the white supremacists, like, all the guys who have, like, labels and stuff like that. They all they don't like him.
Yeah.
No, he's an outsider.
No, I know what you're saying, but I don't want to give the impression that this is more mainstream than perhaps it is, because...
No, there are no, like, secret cult meetings where, like, there's pinky handshakes and...
I think there are definitely people who think America is and should be a Christian nation, but it's not because of their interpretation of a sentence from Genesis. It's just because that's how they were raised. Like, it's not like nefarious or complicated. They probably just haven't thought about it that much, or if they have, they're comfortable with that worldview. So
I mean, it's a little nefarious.
Not intentionally, though, right? Because that
would
go
what
against
nefarious
the spirit
things
of the
are.
book. Being nefarious feels antithetical to the message of the Bible.
I recognize that, but I'm just saying, like, what nefarious things have you seen that, like, somebody was like, you know what, I'm gonna do something really shitty, but here's the kicker, I'm gonna convince everybody it's amazing. It doesn't work like that. We all know it doesn't work like that.
The nefarious secret cabal for Christ didn't catch on.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
We should try to bring that one back. Leon,
Yo.
this was your topic. Was this just a thing you were thinking of? You looked it up, you saw a thing, and that was the whole thing? Or was there like a punchline that we've now ruined by interrupting you?
Not at all. It was just something that interested me, and then I looked it up, and then I found a thing, and I wanted to briefly discuss it because I was like, that can't be good justification. I mean, biblical justification has hurdles in and of itself. Just trying to justify actions based on something from very, very long time ago that has been translated, retranslated. But this, I feel like, is just provably bullshit. And I just wanted to briefly talk about it.
But I mean, even the stuff that's not provably bullshit, or like things that are super clear. Like here's just the easiest, least controversial example. Bible says, "Don't eat pork." Right?
No.
It's very clear.
Get stuffed.
And most Christians are
Make me.
perfectly comfortable doing that. That doesn't require interpretation. No one's like written like an extensive treatise comparing like a line from Daniel, which retroactively changes that. Like they just do it, and they're okay with that. And I think that's kind of like the thing that is easily overlooked is sometimes people just have conflicting stuff in their head and they just don't think about it. Sometimes
Yeah, dude.
they're just
Counterpoint.
yeah.
Cuban sandwiches are awesome.
They really are. I
Eh,
had one.
yeah.
I think I win.
twice.
Anybody?
Yeah. Sidebar, I've heard a lot of people who think that the don't eat shellfish, don't eat pork thing is like that's a hard word to say, so I'm just going to say for not getting sick.
Yeah, epidemiological.
That's the word I was going to say, and then I decided not to.
I know it, bro. I got you.
Okay.
Because people would eat unclean like animals and then die and be like, "Oh, I guess God doesn't want us to eat that."
Yeah, that's I think a pretty mainstream interpretation. I had a professor.
I'm also using unclean as like the finger quotes here
Yeah, that is the word.
because shellfish are so cute.
Listen, where I'm going with this was that I had a professor of religion who disagreed with that interpretation and had like this whole spiel. It was like a 20-minute speech about how that's not right, and I don't have proof either way, but now I'm complicating my own original premise, which is that this was an uncontroversial line of the Bible to point out, and now it's clearly not so. So
Well, as we talked about, I think just last week, I don't think there's any. I mean, never mind. I don't want to get into that again.
yeah, here
Never
we
mind.
go.
Never mind.
You can't
No.
be right. You can't be
Right, you can't be right. Okay, I do want to talk about one more thing, and it's also I guess pretty explicitly related to religion. I'm an ordained minister now, and I thought that I would just like to say that out loud.
Wouldn't you have to be the Pope?
Yeah, the Pope, the whole anti-Pope thing was a joke I made for a few minutes that has apparently taken on a life of itself.
By the way,
in the forums, but this is sincere.
By the way, Leon,
Yo.
quickly before you continue, this week's reformations
Oh.
include a much, much higher acceptance of the levels of pork you are allowed to eat,
I accept that completely.
as well as shellfish too.
All
I mean,
right.
it's not we're not as strict on the shellfish. You know,
Right.
you can eat way more of it than you used to. But
Okay.
we're very excited to roll out our new pork line.
All
I've
right.
actually been thinking about getting ordained for a while. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it, but I'm actually
Well, I'm gonna tell you this right now.
wildly
Austin.
qualified.
It is
very
super easy.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yep. There are just these organizations which have all the paperwork on file, and they just file it for you. And the reason they exist is because some people donate to them, and it doesn't have to be you. I don't think.
It won't be.
Yeah, but the idea is that they enable people to officiate weddings and stuff. And yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, it's just. Is this just part of the Pope thing, or were you planning on doing
No,
this for a while?
no, I was going on to the next question here.
Oh shit! The next one.
Leon, question from the gallows here, Scoops
Absolutely.
McGee.
Absolutely.
What are you planning to do now that you're fully ordained?
Mostly nothing. I just wanted to see if it could happen. It did.
So it turns out that God wills it then.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Here's the thing. I don't know if technically this means I'm registered as a member of a religion, because I've been, not a member of an organized religion since I was, I want to say 13.
Yeah, but did you have to break up with it exactly? Did you have to write a letter of resignation that was like, I'm out, I'm sorry, it wasn't you, it was me. We just didn't want the same things anymore.
I know you're joking, but people actually do that. They write letters removing themselves from the Catholic Church specifically. I imagine
the Catholics do.
Yeah,
that's not something I think would be beyond. I'm just wondering, did you do that?
Oh, absolutely not.
Do the Catholics still think that maybe there's a thing?
I don't know if they have me on a big scroll somewhere.
No, but you're on a collage that they have up on their wall next to their dressing mirror.
The Archdiocese of Baltimore thinks you're playing hard to get. You're like, help me back.
No, if they have a picture of me, it's probably more like one of those photos that they take at supermarkets for the people who steal. And they put them up towards the end. It's like, don't let this guy back in the church.
The question of whether or not you're officially part of any church, I think is dependent on state laws. The way it works in Florida is that you don't have to be with any specific organization to be ordained. If in Maryland you might be, it depends on your state.
That's actually why I mentioned it, because upon doing this, and by the way, the organization is called Open Ministry. It starts with, thank you for getting ordained with our ministry. Here, they have a lot of pictures for things I need to print out for documents. And then it says, we welcome you as the newest member of our church. So I think I am, and it's a website.
I mean, if the state of requires you to be registered with a specific faith and they have it set up in such a way as that you are part of their faith, then yeah.
So when somebody asks you what your denomination is, you'd be like, http://www.
You always got to say HTTP, otherwise they
absolutely.
won't know.
I mean,
I have to cut some of that stuff specifically. Yeah.
Or else they might get a rush.
No, I mean,
a lot of people getting ordained this week, Padre.
Never mind, Johnny. You can just beep it. It's funnier.
No, I will. But yeah.
Just being a
I just thought I'd throw that out there. I wanted to see if I could do it and how easy it would be. It turns out the answers to that are yes and very.
Now the real question, because I mean, obviously I thought about this before too, so I have my answer. I'm interested in yours. What are you going to have people call you from now on? Is the internet joke that we've established here that you're the Pope going to continue, or are you going to scale it back and just be Father Thomas?
Oh, God. See, now I don't know.
That's a really weird career path. It'd be like, in early 2017, Leon Thomas catapulted to the highest office in all of the church after deciding that maybe was a bit too much for him.
No, but
By the way, here's the thing. One thing about all this. Why I am technically ordained but could never actually do anything with it. You can be almost instantly ordained by Open Ministry. But in order to actually perform something, you need their basically you have to take their letter of what's it called? Good standing with their church and show it to someone in order to actually officiate a wedding. Here's the thing. I gave them my fake name. So I literally can't.
Oh, no.
So this is I am technically ordained, but it is impossible for me to do anything with it.
You're really ordained as a fake minister.
Yes, I genuinely am. I lied to the church to get in.
Jesus. See, in Florida, it's different. We have a very low standard for these things. So, I mean, even notaries can officiate weddings in Florida. So I don't think there's that extra level of paperwork here. So I don't want to distract from the real question, which is, are we going to start calling Bishop Thomas, Cardinal Thomas? It's important to me because when you're inevitably on the run from the law for lying to the church, I want to call into the news station and make sure they get your title right.
All right. Okay. So, Austin, this past week, one of my favorite bands
that
I've told you about before and mentioned on the podcast that you've repeatedly accused me of making up. The Magnetic Fields.
Yeah.
Oh, they're great.
Released a new album.
Oh.
Now, for people passingly familiar, this is not going to be news, but for people who don't know the Magnetic Fields, many years ago, back in, I think it was 1999, it was 98 or 99, the Magnetic Fields released a 3-CD collection of songs called 69 Love Songs. And it was one of, like, the densest works that you could kind of release as, like, one album. And talking to Stephen Merritt, the songwriter behind it and things like that, he was like, well, originally, you know, I kind of wanted to make a cabaret, and I was like, ooh, 100 love songs. And then I was like, wait a minute, if we do 2 minutes a song for 100 love songs, that's over 3 hours. Nobody's going to want to sit still for that. So he kind of, you know, like, reeled it back. And 69, I mean, you know, because of its visual presentation.
Nice.
And also... nudge, nudge, wink, wink, right? Seemed like the next number to go to. So it's like it's considered sort of one of their best whole works and things like that, and you know, no record collection should be complete without it. Blah blah blah, etc.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of years ago, Stephen Merritt turned 50, and he decided to mark this occasion that he would write his memoirs in song form. So on the 10th, I guess Friday, the Magnetic Fields released 50-song memoir, in which there's one song for every year that Stephen Merritt has been alive. Dating all the way back to 1966, I believe it was, when he was born. And this album is phenomenal. It is amazing. It is beautiful and hilarious and touching and scathing and just like... It is an even better album than 69 Love Songs. It is, perhaps, I've only listened to the whole thing front to back, I think, 3 times now. And it is just about my favorite thing that they have ever done. It is beautiful. It is such an amazing piece of work. And even on a first listen through, I was just blown away with some of these songs. How funny some of them are, how vulnerable some of them are, because they, like, it hits the whole gamut. Like, everything. He talks about moving around a lot as a child, like being stuck at a commune when he was 12, like being introduced to music for the first time in his life, or like when he first realized that he was gay. You know, the despoiling of innocence and things like that, in just some of, like, strange... Like, he even talks about... He's epileptic. Ever since he was a young boy, apparently, he took to seizures whenever he would get, like, overstimulated. So, like, right from when he was, like, 3, they started medicating him because he wasn't allowed to be, like... super excited by anything. So he's got this, like, there's a bop song in the middle of this album called Weird Diseases that's like, weird diseases, I get weird diseases. But it is just it's such a lovely album. It's so great, you know. And there's like some weird historical significance in some of them too. Like, he's always been a New Yorker, and in 2001 he writes a song, or he wrote a song for 2001 called Have You Seen It in the Snow, which is just like a love letter to New York. And it's so sweet that, like, you see, I can't even come up with words properly to say how much I love it. Some of them are just so funny too. It's so superb. I mean, if as you know, for listeners, if you're not a fan of the magnetic fields, if you haven't heard the magnetic fields before or anything like that, please go check them out. They're spectacular. I don't know if you would enjoy 50 Song Memoir as much as I do, or I have so far, because there's so much about being a longtime fan of theirs that I find rewarding from this album. But even still, there are so many other songs that are just the very last song on the album is called Somebody's Fetish, I believe is the full name. I might be mistaking it, but the whole line is everybody is somebody's fetish. And it just has it's so clever. It's like everybody's someone's perversion, one finger in or total submersion. It is so great. If you get a chance to listen to 50 Song Memoir, I'm giving it my official endorsement. It's got almost everything on it, with the exception of, if you're familiar with his work anyways, he's been accused in the past of being kind of like this generation's Cole Porter. So it's very, very exceptionally written, lyrically, at least anyways. And yeah, it's wonderful. It is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful album. And
yeah, Johnny,
I would not be surprised if I say the same thing at the end of the year.
Okay. Johnny actually hit me to the Magnetic Fields a few weeks ago, and although I've only listened to like a couple dozen of their songs, I'm sort of like listening to a few of them just over and over again. So I like a music thing right now, which is rare.
Do you have a favorite song or one that like jumps to mind?
The Book of Love is really good.
Yeah.
And the one that you showed me, I actually like lost my shit while listening to it, because it's funny, but it's also somehow funny and sincere, which I guess is true of a lot of it.
Which one did I show you? I can't remember.
No.
Oh yes, yeah, that's off the new album.
Yeah.
No is off the new album. If you go to YouTube and you look up Magnetic Fields, it's called 74. No. Yeah, it's one of my favorite songs on the album. That and Life Ain't All Bad, which the chorus is just like fantastic. It goes na 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 na, you're dead now, na 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 na.
This is the most Johnny band possible.
Oh, they're so great. I just want to hug them to bits, all of them. And it even, like, there was even a new Why album that came out this week that, like, it has completely eclipsed. Like, I barely listened to this new Why album at all.
You have to pronounce it like that?
No, I mean, there's a question mark at the end of it.
You have to. Yes, you do.
Okay.
So I just sort of feel like I should, and when you're talking about the band, too, it's a little difficult to be like, why is the best band? Be like, why is the best band what? I'm like, no, I'm not doing an Abbott and Costello routine. So yeah, I haven't even, I've barely listened to Why's new album.
It's gonna keep doing that one, huh?
It's just gonna keep doing that one
fine.
until I get tired of it. Oh, also, I can't understand why you guys aren't watching Legion, because it just got like super amazing this last week. Like super amazing. It was good before, but I'm like, it's super amazing now. It gives me tingles.
I'm just busy with other shows.
But I get that. It just got renewed for a second season, though. They announced that today, which I'm super happy about. And when the first season is done, because I know that both you and Austin are kind of, it seems like you get the whole thing available to you, and then you go, yes, now I must feast.
Yep. That is
Whereas
exactly
I can do the piecemeal thing. I can be like, what's next? I don't know. We'll see.
It's also just
Next
a
week.
matter of time, because there's roughly a million things that I want to watch, but I also don't want to commit to something if it's going to get canceled before the end, because TV.
I hear you. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm rewatching Star Trek Deep Space Nine for the first time in many years.
Is that your favorite Star Trek, Leon?
My favorite Star Trek and my favorite show just in general. But
right.
I've been, for a very long time, I've sort of avoided watching it again because I heard about this new thing called Blu-ray. And I was like, one day this will be on Blu-ray, and that's when I'll rewatch it because the video will be better. And then I read an article a few weeks ago, basically with the people involved saying there's absolutely no way it's going to happen. For a lot of very complicated financial and technical reasons. So I was like, oh, well, that's horrible, but it also means I have no reason to wait anymore. So I'm just going to start rewatching the show.
Yeah.
And it's all on Netflix, so it's like easy to get into again. I watched the first season, which I remembered as being the worst, and it is, but...
That's a Star Trek thing, though.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It wasn't as bad as I remember it. It was just, most of the episodes were just fine, and there were a few very, very bad ones, and like 3 really good ones. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this isn't terrible, it's just mediocre. And then it gets great immediately afterwards, so I'm looking forward to that. And I don't have much else to say. I don't have any hot takes about Deep Space Nine. It's very old, and we've talked about Star Trek a lot. But yeah, that's a thing I'm doing right now, and I'm enjoying it.
Oh, hey, I also saw Moonlight.
Oh, good.
I forgot it. I wanted to. It was wonderful. It was a great movie.
Yeah.
I just like. I was in the first place. I was kind of blown away by how well all 3 actors characterized.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very personal story.
Yeah.
And I was kind of I was talking to Stephanie about this. I was kind of a little, like I don't want to say impressed, but I was kind of like I found it very interesting in how it decided to normalize basically the black experience of like being black, where it's like I find a lot of the media that I wind up watching that focuses on the black identity in America tries so hard with the language, with the hypermasculinity, with the music that it chooses, with the style of dress, with the neighborhoods that it decides to set it in, like everything, absolutely everything. Whereas I found that a lot of the things in that Moonlight decided to do, a lot of the representative black culture, and I mean, you'll have to forgive me because I'm just a Canadian white boy talking about what I don't know about here.
It's fine, you're fine.
But these, like, I'm saying to, I mean, you've lived in Baltimore and Austin lives in Florida, and I'm sure that you're both probably more familiar with black culture than I am.
I have lived in exactly one town in my entire life that had mostly white people in it, and I lived there for about 2 months.
Okay,
that's my life. But whatever.
But yeah, I found it actually, like, I found it really, really interesting about how instead of pushing the movie making show don't tell, okay, we really have to aggressively push the blackness of these characters. A lot of things that I think other movies or other TV shows or things like that would accentuate really, really hard were left as just incidental idiosyncrasies of the characters. They were left to personality traits that exist for these people, as opposed to a very aggressive demonstration of you can see how black this guy is. Look at his grill. Look at this black man's grill.
Oh my god.
Do you know what I mean?
I guess, but it's just something about the way you said it was like frightening to me.
No, this is, yeah, I mean, I understand I'm not using the best language here, like talking.
It's okay.
The phrase normalizing the black experience is just something that I'm using for want of a better term here.
It's fine.
It seemed so much more personal. It seemed so human. It didn't seem like it was taking anything for granted. That it didn't have to super saturate. I don't have the language to speak about this properly. Okay, I don't, and I'm willing to admit that. But yeah, like I do. I really lack the language for this to express what I'm actually trying to say here.
Right.
I hope I didn't.
I might too, and it might not be entirely our like place to say it, but
Yeah.
I do think I kind of understand where you're coming from.
It was very like even a lot of media that I see that's about cultural minorities succeeds in othering themselves. And either what they do is they whitewash it in a way where they're not necessarily like casting like white actors in roles that should be given to cultural minorities. But either they whitewash it by presenting it in a way where it's like, we have to make this palatable for white people, or they hyper accentuate the otherness of these subcultures, and it didn't do either of those things. Like, I felt like I felt like the cultural identity of the main characters was so important and intrinsic to the actual story and mechanisms of the movie, but at the same time, I didn't feel like it was. I didn't feel like it was exaggerated.
That might have something to do with how intimate the movie is, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, I mean, very, very possibly. So. But I mean, it was an absolutely phenomenal movie, and I was thinking about it straight for like 2 days afterwards, having seen it. And even still, I kind of think to myself, I go, oh my god, that was a really good movie, and it's a shame because I would love it. I would love to recommend it to somebody in my immediate circle of friends, but I don't really have anybody that would enjoy like that slowly paced. That subdued and intimate a movie.
You need to find some new friends, Johnny.
No, it's all my friends are busy. All my friends have kids now, and I work with a bunch of normies that I don't really talk about, and I get to geek out with my friends at work, but none of them are old drama nerds that are like, hey, have you blah blah blah, etc.
Yeah. Okay.
I just got a text message from my partner, who says that I should mention that it also subverted stereotypes and gave access to norms enjoyed by hetero white couples in film. That was very eloquent. Thank you.
I can't wait for the comments to this. I really can't. It's gonna be so fun.
All right.
I deliberately did not implicate myself in that last conversation. A, because I haven't seen Moonlight, and B, because I knew I wasn't equipped, and so I took a mulligan on it.
I know. I mean, the thing is that I don't want to just say like it was good. But I don't know why. I want to be able to say that it was good and that it was an experience that I don't usually get out of films. Yeah. Both for its intimacy and its sexual content and its racial content and all these things that maybe I'm not necessarily equipped to talk about with any degree of education, but things that I want to be able to step into, dip my toe into, observe, and be like, okay, let's talk about what I actually got out of this thing, as a straight white male.
Well, you took an emotional risk to talk about it, and I think we all respect that. On a completely different topic, do you want to switch to something else?
Yeah, let's go.
Did you know there's a such thing as a blowjob strap?
That depends.
Because I did not until 1 minute ago when my friend who sells sex items on the internet, it just came up in my timeline, and like I've talked about this before, like half a dozen times a day. They're just
Okay, now
there are big purple dicks that just pop up on my timeline. I'm like, oh look, that goes in something.
I have good news and bad news.
Yeah,
The good news is blowjob straps are on Amazon.
Yeah, I know. They exist. That's a thing.
The bad news is they're $20 apparently.
Yeah,
I mean, belts exist.
This one is not cheap.
Hey everyone! It's just it looks like it's like a thing a belt can do, huh?
I want to explain what this is because basically it is a harness that one straps to the back of someone's head, taking the strain off of their neck whilst doing it. So it's like a safety thing, but also I imagine can be used for more play as well. This is look. Sometimes I'm uncomfortable talking about sex, but this is too. It's something about the term blowjob strap.
I mean, it's not a particularly sexy item. It's just
no. It just sounds funny to me. So I felt to bring
also listen, Amazon. We can keep this between us. You don't need to fucking go narking on me to all of my targeted ads because I see you are surprisingly horny up in these recommendations now, my guys. What is all these?
Yeah.
What? No,
these are not cheap.
Okay, like some of this is fine. There's a riding crop, whatever. I'm an adult. I get it. Handcuffs, fine, cool. Get down with your bad self. Cool, awesome. Steel anal hook. Amazon.
Austin.
Yeah?
Look, you don't want to use the tin ones because they bend too easy.
Amazon, though. What do?
Tell me what a steel anal hook is, because I genuinely don't. I mean, I could, in my mind, I could almost picture it. But what is it hooking to, and why?
I mean, it's a fishing hook, but with it not sharp, right? Like just that,
right?
Just like the round protuberance, much like a bead would be, but it's a hook. Listen, have we? I don't know how explicit, uncomfortable. I realize the people who listen to the show are adults, but like, I don't know if you want to hear Austin Yorsky explaining these to you.
All right, well, I'm gonna look it up because apparently I'm apparently.
I just don't feel as though I'm the proper medium for erotic description. I have many talents.
Me either, but definitely me either. But I feel like I can explain it in such a way that it sounds professorial rather than okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so a steel anal hook. There it is. Okay.
It is.
So, there it is. So
incidentally, that's what they said.
So there's 3 balls. One is small, one is medium, and one is large. And connected to the balls is a hook. It is not sharp at all.
Yeah.
And the balls, I imagine, go up the butt. Okay. So it's a hook. It's so you can hold on to it and then do it whilst. Okay, now it's functional.
Yes.
Okay, when you said anal hook, I'm like, why would a hook come out of your butt? What would that do?
Oh my goodness gracious!
What does that
Heavens
mean?
above.
But apparently the hook is just the handle.
Yeah.
It's really just anal beads, but in a it's more functional, I guess. I would hate to. You know what? No, but anyway. Oh, you know what? These are actually pretty cheap. You can get one for like $11.99. So this is a much better deal.
Oh, you got the fancy one with multiple beads. The one I found just has one bead on the end, and it's $8.
Look, Austin, if you're gonna go in,
that's fair.
It's a fire sale.
Don't one beat it.
That's
ever.
true. You really want to get the maximum bang for your buck. I don't know why that was
options. Options are important.
how do we escape this conversation, boys?
Questions.
I want to say one thing. Thing about this particular steel anal hook.
Yeah.
There's a customer review, and there's only one for this, but it gave it 5 stars.
Damn.
And I was hoping that the customer review would be like funny or erotic or something, but it's just someone saying, "Great product," and that's it. It's like, oh, I mean, I really wish you would explain more about your experience. But this person was like,
what else do you need to know, Leon?
I feel like I wouldn't personally like to know what it feels like, but I would like to know for our audience to explain what it feels like.
I mean, that is the kind of thing I would want a review for. Like, if I'm buying like a flash drive, I know what it does. It's fine. But if I'm going to be jamming something inside my body, I want to know, is it toxic? Is it sharp? Like, does it last?
Oh.
Here's what you need to know.
Yeah.
Pre-warm it.
Unless you like temperature play. Don't judge.
Yeah, I you know what, Austin, here's the thing. I guess here's how, much I had not thought about this. But yeah, I guess you could do it to yourself. In my mind, this was like a performance between two people.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the handle aspect is, obviously. That's like the bonus of it.
So you can do it yourself.
No,
okay,
or
now
anyone.
I thought
look, everyone can get a hand on that ball, metaphorically speaking. You can just invite the whole fucking neighborhood over, and everyone can get in on it.
There are a lot of these.
Listen,
there are just so many.
Amazon reviews are, I think, an underrated source of comedy. One of my favorite things to do, and by that I mean I did it once, was to go and look at the reviews of just average products, like a gallon of milk, and just read the reviews of it, because it's just like an art forum. It's like an open mic night, and everyone's in here with their fucking tight five, just throwing it down. There's like poems, there's like long autobiographical things about people's sexual awakening that just happen to involve a gallon of milk. Like, there's people get really creative in places where only 6 people will ever see.
I'm gonna like take a risk here and sort of go in blind and read a review of the Utami stainless steel anal beads, vaginal beads, masturbation sex toy with rock ring. I don't know what rock ring means.
That
but I'm gonna
sounds
find
like
out.
a typo.
Nope.
Sorry if that was the subtext of your joke, but
No, it's not. Someone says, okay, these anal beads are awesome. They have a good way to them. So I put them in / pull them out of my girlfriend. They have weight so that she can feel. As I pull them out, I would actually swing them around. So the weight would give her more stimulation. She really liked that, so I'm sure others will too. I'm going to skip ahead. Where it says, the only complaint is that the beads are connected by a string that caught material and was a bit tough to clean. The beads themselves are easy to clean, but you'll need to spend a few extra seconds to a minute or two in order to properly clean them.
Okay, I think sex toy Amazon reviews might be a fucking feature we revisit at some point, because I'm also down this rabbit hole, and there's no ladder down here, my friends. I do not know how to get back out, I am
still out here. I'm not going in.
Me and Leon are shouting these up at you because I found one for nipple clamps, which I am going to share with you now. It says,
"Oh well then."
It says Dom and Sub approved. If you're going for effect and not 50 Shades of Grey film quality stuff, this is a practical investment. This looks good, but it strikes me as a function first item. As a Dom, function is always my first priority. 5 stars.
It's nice to see people believing in capitalism.
$15, by the way. I don't know. Is that steep in this nipple clamp market? Anybody?
I don't know. I feel like, you get what you pay for, and if you want to be careful with your nipples, you better go big.
Well, I mean, here's a contrasting opinion. This is a real Metacritic's kind of situation. Here's the Jim Sterling of Amazon's fucking nipple clamp reviews coming in to mess up the fucking Metascore. This person says, not very sturdy, and the chain was really long and got in the way. Maybe offer different sizes for differently sized people? 3 stars.
Ooh.
So
That's still
good.
I mean, that's still a positive rating.
I mean,
I feel here's how I feel. I mean, if I'm buying a sex toy and any of it is going on me or in someone I care about or on someone I care about or around someone I care about or around me, here's what I think. I'm only getting something that has 5 stars. I would be too.
But Leon, if you were dealing with a masochist, wouldn't the ultimate sadism being buying them a 2-star sex toy?
I am far too vanilla to ever go down that particular route. So I feel like that doesn't entirely work with me.
If the video game industry,
you're obviously not.
We're all just at once. If the video game industry has taught me anything, it's that anything less than a 10 out of 10 is garbage trash.
I'm just saying you obviously haven't figured out how to game the system yet.
All right.
Guys, this in a vacuum is the most pathetic and juvenile thing we've ever done. In my sick state, this is fucking hilarious. I love it. And I just want to acknowledge that we are garbage monsters.
That's fine. We don't have much time left, so you want to go into questions?
I mean, yes, although I think the people who ask questions would also appreciate more dildo talk, but let me check real quick.
I mean, we can return to this. It's not like we're...
Oh, we will. Let's see. We actually got a question about the new Magnetic Fields album that Johnny already answered.
There you go.
Yeah.
That I gushed about.
Yeah.
Was the question, how good is it?
Yeah. Harrison Andrew
so good.
asked, how is Johnny enjoying 50-song memoir? Favorite track?
Oh, I want to rub it on me. Next.
Okay. We got that one. JJ Hernandez says, did Leon have more fun playing Ronaldo or Violet?
Ronaldo.
Really? I'm surprised because it seems like your greatest joy in life is trolling.
No, you stop. I went in with wanting to have a unicorn character in good faith. I like unicorns. I thought it would be fun. The fact that it bothered you was just something I went with. Okay, so that's just a thing that happened externally. But no, I liked Ronaldo because I could have fun with him, but also there was enough of a serious side that it made me concerned about him, I guess you could say. Whereas with Violet, I was like, I wonder how I could kill her a lot. But when Ronaldo, I mean, spoilers for season 1 if you haven't listened, so you can just go ahead like 20 seconds. I don't want to ruin it for anyone. But at the end of season 1, Ronaldo doesn't make it, and I was not happy with that. So I would say I was way more attached to him. I guess that makes sense in my head anyway.
Makes sense to me.
All right.
Let's see. Creature asks, if you could create a chimera of 3 different animals to make a perfect pet, what would you put together and why? First of all, what can we just have chimeras? Just the classic Greek creature, because I feel like it's one of those questions where we can go off road on it and just summon a beast that doesn't exist.
What if one of the animals that we chose as part of our chimera was a chimera?
Then we have fractal chimeras, right? Every one of the parts has multiple parts which have multiple parts, and then we just get just this grotesque flesh beast of chimeras within chimeras.
I'm down with it.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good doggo.
The best doggo. Christ. I mean, do you have any more in the spirit of the question and answers? Because I do think we could fix some of the flaws of cats by.
Yeah. No. I think I got one right here. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Chester cheetah.
Okay, that's a specific man animal.
Yep. Tony the tiger.
Oh God, here we are.
And then I think on top of that, maybe Sully from Monsters, Inc.
Okay, Cronenberg. What are you talking about?
I'm not topping that, so I'm just gonna opt out of
yeah,
this
that
one.
was terrifying. We shouldn't have done that one. Okay, I'm going to try to pronounce this. Probably not going to do it right, but Mosiah asks, if each of you could re-roll one of your IRL stats, which would it be? Remember, re-rolling doesn't mean necessarily make it better. It's a chance to make it better. You could also make it much worse.
Then I wouldn't. I'm happy with the way my life turned out. I would like things to be better. I would not risk them being worse. And that is that. I'm sorry, but that is like literally my answer.
Yeah,
I think math is with me to get a better constitution.
Yeah.
I like, I'm not. I don't have the worst. But I think the odds would be in my favor to get a better constitution than I currently have.
Yeah, I mean, just prostate alone, right? There's only so much room to go down.
And I mean, as if if that were the only thing, it would be like, well, everybody gets a weird one. I'd be like, no, it wasn't just that.
I think I would probably go dexterity because I already have like severe knee problems, and I guess I don't know how it could get really much worse without not being able to walk at all. So that seems like a worthwhile risk mathematically. Maybe, I don't know. ACLs are just poorly designed. I don't think we're meant to do half the things we do with them. Sports were not intelligently designed.
I don't think we're meant to do football with them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That part is conveniently left out of Genesis to bring it back around.
By the way, running into each other at full speed, not a very good idea.
Here's one for Leon. Cyretha asks, do you have any plans for watching WrestleMania? Any predictions?
Yeah, I do. Oh, right. Yeah, right. A wrestling question.
No.
Yeah. No, it's like, here's the thing. Austin, you mentioned the other day that after many years away from Magic the Gathering, it is now everything you think about. Me and wrestling. It's like, it's all I do. It's all I think about every day when I'm not working. I cannot talk about it on the show because you just don't watch it anymore, and it's only interesting when someone asks me about it, so I'm gonna. Am I gonna watch WrestleMania? Yeah. Me and Ashley are going to watch it because we watch all wrestling pay-per-views together, and that will be fun. Predictions. The most obvious is that Lesnar is going to win against Goldberg because they have been building that for the better part of a year now. It would make no sense if he didn't. I'm not looking forward to it, though. I think Goldberg is terrible. And he shouldn't be in the main event. Other things, I'm not sure if I have predictions. I'm looking forward to a few matches. On the whole, I'm not super excited about a lot of it. I think they made a lot of bad booking decisions. But that's common in wrestling. And they say that a wrestling fan is only happy when he's complaining about wrestling. So this is giving me an opportunity. And that's it.
I didn't understand any of that. Is that okay with you?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
No, it's totally okay. That's sort of what I mean. I just refuse to talk about a thing that you guys do not watch because it would make no sense.
All right.
But yeah, there you go.
Now I'm going to do one to you. Bright March asks, favorite planeswalker?
Go for it.
Johnny, do you have one? I know you hate Jay.
Maybe. Huh?
I know you hate the name Jay Spellerin.
I know, but it might actually be Jay Spellerin.
Oh, dang. He's like the main character of Magic, for anybody who doesn't know. He's kind of like he's just like a really smart wizard man. I guess Urza used to be the main guy, but then he died.
He's also a very good dresser.
Yeah.
Like his wardrobe is pretty tight.
I feel like my answer is boring, and it's Chandra, the pyromancer. And she's like, it's kind of like being, and here's a wrestling reference for you, Leon. It's kind of like being a fan of John Cena, because it's like the company is very excited about her being good and interesting, but a lot of fans disagree with that premise. And I guess that makes me like a mark. Is that the proper wrestling term? Because I think she's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also Liliana is pretty cool too. Also very good in the actual card form. But it's funny because I've been reading a lot of stuff about Magic recently, and Wizards optioned it for a film, I think in like 2014. So there's kind of this like line of thought in the fandom that Wizards is deliberately pushing the Planeswalkers to be super prominent, so when the movie comes out, they can have their own Avengers, basically. And that's a very unpopular direction to take the series in for a bunch of boring reasons. But I don't think it's going to work, either in the cards or on screen. I think if they ever do make that movie, it probably won't be very good. But
that sounds terrible.
It does. Also, because just like DC, you don't know the characters going in. You have to build them up a little bit.
Yeah.
And also, I guess the boring card side of that is that they take over a lot of the new expansions. So instead of being about like new cool worlds and cultures, it's like, who did Chandra set on fire this time? Which people aren't thrilled with. But I don't know. I don't think that movie will ever actually come out. And in other news, I just put a video of a corgi race in the Discord chat because Silent Wind of Doom sent me this video in my question thread and says, "Are you aware that this exists?" And I am now. People race corgis, and I've seen a video of it. It is perfect. It is flawless and pure. Thank you. Have you guys watched it? It's good.
I'm watching it presently, but it's like 12 minutes.
You don't have to watch all of it.
There's really nothing to say about it.
They just started. They are racing. Look, some of it are way more into it than the others.
Yeah. Oh no. Some of them, when they say go, some of them just run in the wrong direction. Like they don't.
Yeah. One of them just stopped.
Yeah.
Like right before the finish line. Like, come on, you. No.
The fact that some of it resembles racing is coincidental. Largely. Jay says, "I'm starting a D&D campaign soon. Do you have any tips to make it a more fun or engrossing experience for the players?" I mean, you guys.
I don't know that I don't know that there's anything I have left to say about DMing in terms of like, hey, do this, you know.
Yeah.
Take your players seriously, give them chances, you know, have fun with it and play.
I think it's important to understand each other's expectations. So when you sit down, like, do they want to tell like a serious story with like themes and like character development and growth and stuff, or do they want to, you know, make dick jokes and hang around in fake taverns yelling at fake wenches? Like, that's actually really important, because if you come with like a Tolkien mindset and they want to do Magicka, you know, like it's just not going to mesh. So I think expectations and having a conversation about like, how dark do we want to get? Like how, you know, how sexy? Like that. It's kind of awkward, but it's like people have different things they want to do. So that would be my number one tip. Leon, anything?
How to be a good DM? I DM'd first edition as a teenager.
But you're a player. What would help you be more engrossed or have more fun?
Honestly, and we joked about this earlier, but honestly, like a lot of explanations about what things look like and how things feel when we approach them make me feel like I'm in like a novel or a story. And that helps me visualize things personally, but that's me on a very specific basis.
Also, if you're playing in person, you can have a lot.
Yeah.
You can like bring you can play music or like bring little miniatures or like Google stuff and be like, here's the thing. Like, you know, there's a lot of different options depending on.
And use unlicensed music.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that can change in like a physical space, or like depending on like how much room you have, you can just like. You can do a lot of different stuff that way, like put out a big mat and then play on a grid, like a war game or something. Yeah. So let's see. I didn't even do Law Corner this week. People are asking like law questions. I messed up, huh? We ran out of time because we were talking about butt plugs.
Yep.
Darkent Reltnark says, "Can you make a second postmortem if you can get the whole party for a week? I guess for season 2 of Dice Funk." I don't think for scheduling reasons that's going to be very likely, because we're also recording the 3rd season right now. But if anybody has any specific questions and they're non-spoilers, we can answer them on WordFunk. Like, there's no reason we can't do that here. I'm a little sensitive because I don't know which things people consider spoilers. That's also why like there's some really great fan art I haven't retweeted, because I don't want to like ruin like what happens if it's depicted. I actually do have some stories about some stuff D&D related to tell, but we're about out of time, so maybe next week I'll put it on my sticky note. I think. I think I may have just. I think I may have gotten to the bottom of the avocado mystery.
Okay.
Dark Kent Reltnark says, "Do you know how lawyer is said in other languages?"
Oh, right, because it was on Daredevil, and people made that joke. And...
Is that the thing? Is that it?
They may just be wanting us to say avocado, or maybe that has something to do with why they're saying it.
I don't know. I was watching a show in Spanish the other day, and someone said, and they said in Spanish something about corazón, which is heart, but the subtitle said strength, which is like a perfectly acceptable idiomatic like liberty. But I just reminded me about like nuance you miss when you watch things that with subtitles and translation. And I've been thinking about that a lot recently because there's not a lot of good anime around, and I want to watch good anime, and I've been looking into it, and I'm just thinking about translation and stuff, guys. I think I might watch Attack on Titan when it comes back. Is that a bad decision?
I still haven't watched the first part.
Okay.
But people tell me it was good, so I'm going to say, because I'm susceptible to the opinions of my peers, that you should go for it, Austin.
Okay. I don't know. I was thinking about giving up, but I might watch that. All right. Where was that? I saw another one, and now it's gone. Oh, here it was. Lurberg asked, Johnny, what do you think about the Expanse adaptation? We've talked about it a little bit more, but there's more of it. Are you keeping up with it?
Yeah, I'm absolutely keeping up with it. It's still on its way. Things are still happening. I don't want to be spoilery or anything like that, but I'm still enjoying it. Maybe not at a as voracious a pace as the first season, but I'm still very much interested. Yeah, it's still really, really great TV. I think they've taken the second season very seriously, and they're pacing it very well. One of the things I like about it is that stuff keeps happening.
That's a big plus.
No, I mean, I got kind of tired of Game of Thrones because, Game of Thrones, got stuck into this shtick where it was okay, it's the new season now, so we're gonna spend 4 or 5 episodes building stuff up, and then one thing will happen. And then we'll build up the second half of the season, and then everything happens in the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, there are a lot of episodes of Game of Thrones which can be summarized as people plan for other episodes. Yeah,
and I have gotten tired of that pacing. And it was the second season of The Expanse started, and it was boom! Guess what? Everything's happening all at once! And it kept rolling, and there really hasn't been much rest time in it. There's a new character that they've introduced that hasn't really had much to do up till this point in time. But now that this previous plot arc they've had kind of closed, I'm so the new one's in mid-swing already. I like this. So it's going well. I'm still enjoying it. Still good TV. I'm not tired of it yet.
Yeah, I fell off a little bit during season 1 because they stopped being free on the website that I was watching them on. And I didn't want to pirate it, but now it looks like the whole season's up on Amazon Prime, so I think I'm gonna catch back up. I liked that show.
Bing bang boom.
We're about out of time. Last question. This can be answered in a single word or sentence or whatever. Jessica Sims says, are there any good movies based on video games? I've said this other places. I don't know if I've ever said it on this show, but the adaptation or the entry in the Professor Layton series that for the animated film is very good. It's not good for a video game movie or good for a budget anime or whatever. It's just good. So you should watch that. It's Professor Layton and the Eternal Diva is the name of that film.
I liked Final Fantasy Spirits Within.
No, you didn't.
I thought it was fine.
You're a film critic, Leon.
I thought it was fine.
You can't say that.
I mean, I was a child when I watched it, but I was oh, neat. I like the way that they jump out of planes in goo so that that they land right. Mostly I was just...
To be fair, that's way better than saying, I really liked Final Fantasy Advent Children.
Oh, that was terrible. I couldn't understand what was happening, and I played that game.
I would take Advent Children over Spirits Within. I'm going to be real with you guys.
Oh, you're miserable, Yorsky. You are
terrible.
sick.
There's like this guy are sick. There's like a cool motorcycle chase. What happens in Spirits Within? Nothing happens.
Spirits Within feels like an actual movie, and not like a cutscene in a video game.
And there's a message behind it, even if it is just Fern Gully dressed up.
That's fine. Fern Gully was fine.
Fern Gully would be better with a motorcycle chase. Fight me.
Okay. I want to say a few things. First thing, John Cena is a perfectly solid performer, both in the ring and on the microphone. Okay. You don't have to feel bad about that. Anyone. Second thing, I'm now going to go watch NXT, which is WWE's developmental territory, for about an hour, and then watch 2 more videos about wrestling on YouTube, and that'll be my night. And the third thing I want to say, male resin chastity device / penis cage.
Fuck you, I was totally looking up something to end the episode.
This is a pretty comfortable chastity cage. Easy to install, easy to wear. The ring does not seem to have spread a bit, so I doubt it's super secure. I think we'll be trying a smaller ring, since the boys can sometimes slip out, making the whole thing want to come off. Not bad for the price, though. And see, that's how I feel. That's done now. Yeah, I mean, if you want something quality, you have to go up in price. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's capitalism, and that's how it works.
Wait, I'm sorry, how much was that penis cage?
This particular penis cage, chastity device and penis cage.
Oh, it's both.
Is $18.99 plus $2.49 shipping and handling. I imagine, and I could be wrong about this, Amazon sells a lot of used stuff, but I don't feel like this would be one of them.
Is that brushed steel there, Leon?
It says resin.
What colors do they come in?
I'm looking at a pink one.
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
I haven't looked at. I mean, it's cute. It's actually pretty cute. It's small, but I guess that it would have to be because you're not supposed to. It's supposed to be like punishing in such a way that you can't. Right. So you have to be like, all I want to do is get out of this thing and also get big.
I'm 12. What is this?
This is really wonderful.
Please.
I thought I would be uncomfortable talking about this, but really, this all just looks like aliens to me. Like none of this is real to me. It's nuts.
I was really, really excited to play Star Trek VR this week.
That's not a segue.
And then Ubisoft was forgot that they had delayed the game, and a couple of days ago changed it from March to May on their website. Wow. And I was like, oh yeah, right. And now I have this.
Coincidentally, Ubisoft is a good name for a penis cage. I think. I don't know if we're gonna top that.
Yeah, that's.
Let's leave immediately. Go to.
Burn the sheets and run, boys!